It seems younger people tend to view the climate story with much more urgency because it's a story about their future, a story many say they should help write.
It's so important for young people to be a part of the climate story and narrative now.
They've been dealing with these blazes and trying to get these fires under control.
This is where the flooding level was during Hurricane Irma.
It's also really important that in all of the coverage we're doing, we're not just referencing young people or the planet that they're going to inherit, but that we're actually including their voices in the conversation.
I think that there is a kind of urgency about their coverage, a kind of toughness that older journalists sometimes don't have.
It's critical to include younger voices in journalism because they're the next generation and they're the ones who are feeling the weight of extinction.
They understand that it is their personal future that we are talking about.
They inherently get the issues of racial, national, and economic equity that are threaded through the whole issue of climate adaptation and mitigation and impacts.
Research shows that younger audiences in particular want more climate news.
At Now This, we've seen that about 68% of our audiences are engaged in some form of climate action in their communities. And so I think that's a key difference between the younger demographic, millennials and Gen Z and other generations, is that for them, it's not just a matter of, okay, what's the problem, but what can I do about it?
So that's why you see places like Now This, you see places like Vox, you see places like BuzzFeed, which skew towards a younger audience. They were earlier on in amping up their climate coverage.
And they've created shows like One Small Step from Now This, hosted by the young journalist Lucy Biggers.
I'm on a mission to find out how my old food gets turned into compost.
She's just one of many young climate journalists making a difference today.
Or the new Al Jazeera show, Generation Change.
Broadening our perspective on climate change and how policy making takes place in different areas around the world.
It's very important to get those younger voices into our coverage and involves younger generation people who deal with issues that are particularly galvanizing the younger generation.
There's no way to ignore the power of a new generation's commitment to this critical issue.
And we saw it in covering Climate Now Awards. We reviewed so many entries for young journalists, and it was just refreshing and really left us with a feeling of hope to see the amazing job that they were doing.
This year, Covering Climate Now is honoring a journalist who exemplifies the passion, skills, and outlook young reporters bring to the climate story with our Emerging Journalist Award. The inaugural winner of this award is Rahma Diaa.
You're the winner.
Really?
You're the winner. You're the 2021 Emerging Journalist. You won.
Thank you. I feel very proud. Thank you.
First, I'd just love to hear from you about why it is that you've decided to really focus your incredible skill set as a journalist on climate issues.
Because I have a real interest in the environmental issues as a human being, not as a journalist. And in the second, there is no many journalists that care about climate issues in our region and in my country. We have to know how to present our stories in a human way and in an attractive way to catch the attention of the people. This is our main job as climate journalists.
Rahma is an Egypt-based freelance reporter who has investigated stories like industrial oil pollution, the reasons for water shortages, and the climate implications of growing cotton.
She's a great example of someone who's covering the climate crisis in a corner of the world that we don't hear much about.
Covering climate in developing countries is really difficult. There's not a whole lot of support. It's often difficult to get access and information. And she's done such a breadth of stories, from writing about Egypt's coral reefs to the plight of its farmers.
Tell me about what you've seen in your country about how climate change has affected people's health and the things that you've really just seen with your own eyes.
We started to see the effects of climate change on the coral reefs in Egypt, how it's badly affected with climate change and also the human activities, unfortunately. Also, we have a main problem in Egypt in the water. We have all these problems and affairs that related to climate change, that we have to quickly adapt to climate change by many ways in order not to face a big problems in the near future.
What's it been like for you to report on climate change in Egypt? What challenges have you faced?
There was challenging to find the platform that have the ability to publish my stories. And during making the stories, I found also challenges to convince people to talk. For example, when I make stories about the cement factories that use coal in the industry, and the people in the surrounding area suffers from chest disease and cancers and many harmful effects. The people still afraid to talk to the media. I worked on this story, on this investigative report for a whole year. So they know that I am not pretending that I am cared.
Now that you did get those people to trust you and you have written these stories, what's the reaction been like there?
One of the reactions that I felt my effort have paid off when one of these factories I told you about it was closed by court order after publishing my report. So I felt that we made something, we helped the people in some way.
Absolutely. Hey Rahma, you're the 2021 Emerging Journalist. Don't forget it. Is there anything else that you want to say about this award and honor that you so totally deserve?
Thank you. I feel very proud, and I feel that all the efforts that I made during the past years have paid off. So thank you for choosing me.